This is a great honor for every fan of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm honored to be in the NFL.
What can I say? Mamba out.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to ESEN the Afternoon Show. I am your boy Frank the Yankee here with my brother from another mother, Jay McLovin. What's going on, Jay?
Man, I'm doing well, my brother. It's a beautiful day out here in Houston, and lots and lots have gone on in the sports world, and I can't wait for us to dive into all the things that are going on.
Yeah, it's a really nice day here up in New York. It's a lot of sun in the high 70s. It's beautiful weather. It just sucks when my Yankees are playing in the West Coast during this time. Watch when the weekend comes around, Jay, and we have the Subway Series. I guarantee you we'll have some rain and some postponing games. But right, let's go into it and let's talk some basketball. Yesterday we had the first game of the second round, game 4 between the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics. And before we start on that, I just want to go out and give my condolences to Jason Tatum. If you guys didn't watch the game, late in the fourth quarter, it looked like he appeared to have torn his Achilles, definitely an Achilles. Boston is saying it's ankle injury problem, whatever. But when you watch the game of basketball and you're a fan of the game of basketball, you know the difference between an ankle injury and an Achilles injury. And for him to just go down on a non-contact Achilles injury and quickly call a timeout, their last timeout, it just goes to show that he was in a lot of real pain. It sucks really bad. Either or, even if it didn't happen, Jay, I don't think Boston would have came back, because I think at that time they were down by 10. So I don't think they would have came back. But it just sucks to see a player like Jason Tatum, especially who's a fan of Kobe Bryant, kind of like myself, go down like that. And looked like it was in serious pain. He was in tears. He had to get wheelchaired out of the arena. So it sucked. Boston did lose the game. They are now down 3-1, defending champions, on the brink of elimination. But let's get on to it, Jay. Jason Tatum out. Game 5 in Boston. What does Boston need to do? Yeah, that's my nephew. What's going on, Pa? What does Boston need to do in Game 5 to at least, get a little confident inside themselves without Jason Tatum, and basically on the brink of elimination, and honestly could get eliminated and stay home.
Yeah, it really is, man. Because Tatum was putting up a monster game before that injury. I mean, he had 42 points. I don't have his whole line in front of me, but I know he had 42 points, 16 of 28 shooting. So his field goal percentage was amazing. His points was amazing. He was just stellar yesterday, up until the point where the foot went one way and the body went another. And obviously, like you said, he was carted off on a wheelchair. Something you never want to see, Frankie. Kobe had the ACL issue. Kirk Cousins had the ACL issue. Aaron Rodgers had the ACL issue. The one good thing I would say for Tatum's injury is he's young. And so even though Tatum, and I always say this, when you tear an ACL,
it's an Achilles.
To the level of that point, you're never ever going to be back to who you were. Your body is a mortal thing, even with stem cells and things like that. All that's really going to do is help you get on the court, maybe at a little bit quicker pace without the stem cells. If you go overseas to do that procedure, but you're never ever going to be back to where you were. It's not to say that Jason Tatum's not going to still have a good career. I do believe he comes back. I think maybe he takes a year or next year off and comes back the following in 2020, 26, 27 season. I think it's probably is the next time we see Jason Tatum. I'm not saying he can't make it back in the 25, 26 season, but if he does, It would be very, very incredible if he makes it back that soon. And again, Frank, I don't know if you necessarily want to rush that kind of an injury too soon, because then you could do even more damage. So they're really going to have to evaluate this and see what's best in his interest. And what's crazy enough is they had the second highest payroll going into next year, and Jason Tatum is going to account for $54.1 million of that payroll. And so that's going to be a huge financial burden for that team to take on, how they replace Tatum just for that specific season until he comes back. I got to be honest with you, Frankie, man. And this is just my own personal feelings about the matter. I feel like Boston is going to lose this series to New York. I don't think they have enough firepower to continue to try to come back and win this series. And I don't think you're going to see them do anything next year. I think they probably have a good enough roster to make the playoffs. I don't think they have a good enough roster to win the ship up until the point when you get Jason Tatum back. And then at that point, everybody's about a year or two older. And what is that roster going to look like at that point? And of course, we'll have to worry about that when we get there. But just this specific season, Brunson had a really good game, scoring 39 points. So obviously he went 14 to 25 at the line. So, I got to tell you, with with Hart and, Towns and everybody else that's on that lineup, Mikal Bridges, I just think they're too strong for that Celtics season. I don't know. How are you feeling about it, Frankie?
I'm gonna be real with you, Jay, and I just want to point this out that it's not an ACL injury. I tried to cut you off 3 times. It's an Achilles.
Oh, Achilles. I know it's Achilles. If I said ACL, I apologize. I meant Achilles.
I understand. I didn't want to keep cutting you off.
No. You're good. You're good. Guys, I apologize. I meant Achilles.
But yeah, an Achilles injury like that, I agree with you. I don't think they should rush him, especially when he's your franchise player. You gave the guy a crazy multi-year contract, worth a lot of money. It's the same thing with Jaylen Brown. But when you say that, and I'm not trying to attack you or say what you're saying is wrong or anything like that. But when I look at the Boston Celtics roster, I think they still have enough manpower to beat the New York Knicks. I really do, even without Jason Tatum, because you got Jaylen Brown, you got the dude Derek White, you got Kristaps Porzingis, you got Al Horford. I mean, you got I forgot his first name, but Pritchard, the 6th man of the year. You got the weapons in Boston. What's bothering me, Jay, is these games, all 4 games that we have seen, the Boston Celtics have led the New York Knicks at halftime by 20 or more points. And in the second half, somehow, some way, they lose the momentum, and the momentum shifts over to New York. It feels like New York, scores about 5 to 8 points, and it's like the Celtics' backs against the wall. They're up by 20. New York gets to about 8 to 10 points dropped off that 20-point lead, and then all of a sudden, Boston is they're running up and down the court like a bunch of chickens with their heads cut off. They're not knowing what to do. You can't have this style of play, especially when you're the defending champions. You all 4 games, 20-point leads, and you lost them all except for game 3. So I don't understand how in game 3 you kept the momentum of your 20-point lead and got the win, but in games 1 and 2 in your own home court, you lose it, and then in game 4 you had it again and lose it again. It's mind-blowing as defending champions to go up against a team that you obviously dominated all regular season, to come into the playoffs with 20-point leads in 4 straight games and lose and only win 1 game out of those. It's mind-blowing. I don't know what the Knicks are doing offensively to change that, or maybe it's just the defense of the Boston Celtics just saying, "Oh, listen, we got a 20-point lead. We don't need to keep doing what we're doing. We're gonna lock this in. We're gonna win this." No, you have to have that mindset. Listen, you go into halftime with a 20-point lead. Guess what? Come out of halftime saying we're gonna get we're gonna end up with a 40-point lead. That's what you're supposed to have the mindset of. You're not supposed to go into halftime having the mindset of we're up by 20. Let's just go out there and let's finish this game. Let's make sure they don't come back, and let's get the win on this one. No, That can't happen. You have to go in there and say, listen, this game ain't over. If they came back in games 1 and 2 from a 20-point deficit, you should not go into halftime with that mindset. So I don't know what's going on with Boston, but I agree with you, Jay. I think the next game, they're done. I think they're done. And I would not be surprised if we see some type of fan base fighting with the Boston Celtics fans trying to pick, little fights with those little New York Knicks fans that are sitting at the stadium, cheering on their team, which will be worth it. Because honestly, let's really look at the paper here. Every time the New York Knicks meet the Boston Celtics in the playoffs, New York has not been on the winning end. And year after year, we've seen New York Knicks fans chanting out, "We want Boston." They did it this year. They got Boston. Boston, it was giving it to them, and now they're actually literally handing over the victories to the New York Knicks fan base. It's mind blowing to me, but I do not think that the Boston Celtics, they have fire, they have manpower to do it. They can win it. They can somehow come back from a 3-1 deficit, tie the series, go to a Game 7 winner takes all type thing. But with what I've been seeing the last 4 games, even them having a 20-point lead and then the Knicks come back and winning it, I don't think it's going to happen. Jalen Brunson is on another level. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jalen Brunson. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Josh Hart, because last year he had one good series in the first round and then he disappeared. This year around, he's been around the first 2 series. It's really a turnaround point for the New York Knicks. Mikal Bridges, like you said, he's having an outstanding playoffs right now, not showing up in the first quarter or even the first half, or hell, like Game 3, not showing up, or Game 2, not showing up for the first 3 quarters, but then getting 14 points in the fourth to help them win the game. Listen, when you have a player like that can get you the points you need when you need it, that's when you know you're a winning team. I don't know what's going on with Boston, but it looks like New York is going to win this one and head to the Eastern Conference Finals to face the Pacers.
Yeah, when you look at it, Boston only won 1 quarter. That was the first quarter, which they came out really super strong.
Yep.
They put up 39-28 in that first quarter. Second quarter, it was a tie at 23 apiece. But then that third quarter, which again, I want to remind everybody, Tatum is still in the game. He hasn't gone out yet. So even they lose the third quarter, 37-23 in favor of New York. So it's almost like the first quarter and the third quarter wash out. And then you get that fourth quarter when you do lose Tatum. And of course, Boston goes down 33-28 to ultimately give you at 121-113. I thought one of the things was big noticeable about this game was the assists. I think Boston had 15 assists and New York had 25. Then you look at the rebounding, and New York has 43 and Boston has 31. But the telltale for me is at the field goal percentage at 54.3 for New York and 48.1% for Boston. Frankie, man, a lot of this is before Tatum goes down. And I just felt like defensively, I felt like New York did a good job. And I felt like, New York just wanted it just a little bit more. Now, I understand Tatum's injury did have an effect. So I don't want to take away from that loss of Tatum in the fourth quarter. But like you said, the first 3 quarters already indicated that this game was shifting from that first quarter through the second, and then ultimately was going New York's way in the third, And so, yeah, I think New York is just maybe wanting it a little bit more than Boston. And like you said, the first 2 games, when you got a 20-point deficit and you can't get the win, that's an issue. That's a big issue. And Hart is playing great. Defensively, Mikal Bridges is doing good. A lot of that team is doing great. Horford and Drew Taylor, both of those guys were held less than 6 points. You can't do that. And I know we said, well, Tatum went down. They still got enough players that they can make it a series. And I just don't think they do. I don't think they do. And it's not that they don't have good players. I just don't think they're showing out right now.
Yeah. No,
and you got to show out in the playoffs.
I totally agree. And what's being the big problem, the major problem for the Celtics, and nobody wants to, own up to it or even look at it, is the 3-point shooting. New York isn't taking as much 3-point shooting than Boston is. Boston is doing nothing but 3-point shooting. And I hear your stats. I hear the stats that you're throwing out there, the percentage on field goals and the percentage of rebounds and assists. But what that's telling me in my head, and I don't even have the sheets in front of me. I don't have the stat sheet in front of me to look at it. But what it's telling me in my head is that Boston is doing nothing but 3-point shooting. Because let's look at it. The first 2 games, they went 25 for 100. 25 for 100 on 3-point shooting. That's absolutely insane. Game 2, they go 20 for 40. Okay? So that's what? We're already at 45 out of 140 shots with a 3. So like you're 45 of 140, and then you come into the game 4, and we see you in the first quarter going up crazy high in the lead because what you start off doing, your 3-point shooting. Then what goes on, Jay, is the Knicks are starting to come back. They're trying to climb back, and what is Boston doing? They're trying to keep the momentum on their side and stick with a large margin lead, and they want to continue doing 3-point shots. It's not working. You missed the 3-point shots, and this is where New York ends up getting the favor on the rebounds. This is where New York gets the favors of assists. This is where New York gets the favor of in the paint percentage because they're doing something smart. They're chipping away 2 points at a time, or even 3 points at a time because they get the and ones. So I mean, they're chipping away as Boston is trying to keep the lead by just making threes, and it's not working for them in this series for some reason.
Yeah, and when you look at it even closer, like I was saying, nobody on the Celtics side of the equation had double digits in rebounds. Nobody. Karl-Anthony Towns had 11 rebounds. Hart had 9 rebounds, and Bridges had 7. I mean, and then of course, and then you look at Robinson, he gives you 8. I mean, you had 3 or 4 guys, that were just killing it. I mean, if you look at just Hart, if you just take Hart and Towns alone, those 2 guys alone gave you 20 rebounds, which is only 11 less than the entire team of Boston. I mean, they were killing them in all the statistical categories. And then, of course, you got Brunson doing Brunson-like things. He gives you he gives you 12 assists, 5 rebounds, 39 points. I mean, the guy had a really good stat line, going up against one of the better teams in Boston and what they do defensively. And so, when you're doing that, and even if you look at the 3-point shooting, you had Anunoby giving you 4 of 8, and you had Brunson giving you 4 of 8. The only one that really had a statistically off night shooting the ball was Bridges going 1 of 6. But everybody else, was having a fairly decent 3-point shooting night. Granted, they didn't take as many. They only took 34 3-points and made 12 out of 34. But still, I mean, even when they were doing their 3-pointing, they were still doing it at a pretty effective rate, compared to what Boston was doing, right? I mean, in actuality, Boston, I think, put it up 35 times, I believe, from the 3-point line. Excuse me. They went 48 times. I apologize. They were 18 of 48.
See?
Yeah, So yeah.
It's mind blowing that they're taking these much 3-point shooting, and they thinking like, let's keep doing it. Let's keep doing it. If I'm the head coach of the Boston Celtics, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to say, stop taking the 3-point shots. It's not working. We only made 18 and we're attempting over 40. It's insane. Stop doing it and just get your points in the paint. What's really pissing me off, Jay, is I'm from New York. Everybody knows this. Obviously, Frankie the Yankee. I'm from New York. I have a Boston team. I have 2 Boston teams that I like. I like the Boston Bruins. Since we us here at ESPN, me, you, and Logan, we merged into becoming NHL fans, which we really aren't because we still today don't watch it. But we picked our teams, and I'm also a Patriot fan, Foxborough Frankie C. Right, so it's like it's pissing me off that before this series started, I'm saying that all New Yorkers are going to be pissed at the end of this because Boston is just going to hammer out New York, and I'm going to stand behind what I say. Obviously I'm going to stick behind it. And if New York ends up winning this series, which it looks like they will, I'm going to stick behind it, right? That is what I said. I thought Boston was going to dominate. But what's pissing me off is where the hell is Kristaps Porzingis? This is the one person.
Yeah, he
gave you. He was sick.
I think he gave him like 11 points, if I'm not mistaken, in that game. It wasn't much.
He was sick in the first game. I didn't see him in game 2 or 3. In game 4, I see him on the bench getting a little bit of time, doing whatever he's got to do. I want to see Kristaps Porzingis go off. This is the team that drafted you into the NBA. This is the fan base that booed you when your name was called under the New York Knicks banner during that draft day. This is the team that did not believe in you and did not have faith in you, so they traded you away thinking you weren't going to be nothing. You, sir, are now an NBA champion. You, sir, having the opportunity right now to eliminate the team that literally had no faith in you, to upset the fan base that booed you when you got drafted, and you're not doing anything about it, it's pissing me off. Most teams, in a moment like this, most players who were on a team and got to face their old team that didn't believe in them will be going off. Luka Doncic, we didn't even get to play the Mavericks in the playoffs, right? But when Luka ended up going back to Dallas, what ended up happening? That man ended up with 45 points because he had something in his goddamn heart and in his belly to Nico Harrison and to the ownership, to the fan base, and telling them these guys were wrong, these guys were stupid, and I'm going to show you why. And that's exactly what he did. But where's Kristaps Porzingis? I'm sick, sir. I can't play. I have a flu. Michael Jordan had a flu, ended up with 60 points. Hear that shit? This is the playoffs, Jay. You had John Morant hurt with a knee injury, still playing until he actually tore that knee up and had to sit out. You got Stephen Curry, not fully 100%, but still ended up playing game 1 to where he had to get really hurt, and now he's sitting out. It's ridiculous. I don't want to hear this. I'm sick. I can't play.
Right.
End up coming out with 11 points by game 4. It's ridiculous.
That was actually wrong, and I want to give a correction. So Porzingis played 24 minutes, went 2 of 6 from the field goal percentage line, 0 of 2 at the 3-point line. So he basically finished up with 7 points and 4 rebounds. 7 and 4. 7 and 4 was his actual stat line. And I want to say this. Tony put up a really interesting stat as well. What is even more impressive is that New York had 64 points in the paint and Boston had 32. Literally, Boston had half the amount of points in the paint as what New York did. And Porzingis should be part of that paint conversation, and clearly he was not. 4 rebounds. 4 rebounds. That's all you give me is 4?
Seriously. And that's where it goes with Tony's comment, right? The points in the paint. It goes to show that Boston is doing nothing but 3-point shots. And then you got Kristaps Porzingis with 4 rebounds compared to Karl-Anthony Towns with 11. Are you kidding me, Kristaps Porzingis? Are you kidding me? Like this. Jay, if you were an NBA player, if you were drafted to the Houston Rockets and the Houston Rockets fan base was booing you, the Houston Rockets GM and the ownership did not believe in you, and they go and they trade you away. It's been years, but you still got that in your mind because they didn't believe in you, but you know how good you're worth. You know how good you can play. You become an NBA champion the next year. You know, you got the chance. You're facing off against the Rockets, and you got the chance to eliminate them and stop them from anything and show them, listen, this is why you guys shouldn't believe, you should have believed in me. You shouldn't have let me go. Wouldn't you be balling your ass out?
Bro, I'd come in like a freaking Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Like, what the hell are you doing? I'm sick.
I would be balling every inch I could possibly ball.
I'm sick, coach. I can't play. Game 4 comes around. Coach, Karl-Anthony Towns is bullying me. He's getting 11 rebounds. I can't get over him. You're the same goddamn height as Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's not like Porzingis is a small guy, right?
Come on. 4 rebounds? You don't even have double-digit points? Where's the third man? You're supposed to be the third man. It's supposed to be Tatum, Brown, and Porzingis. That's what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be Tatum, Brown, White, Hofford, Pritchard, and Porzingis. That's not how it's supposed to be. You're the
real
big
quick.
man. You're supposed to get the rebounds. You're supposed to help with the points in the paint. You're supposed to get the blocks.
Of course.
It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And you know what? After talking like this about Porzingis and talking about the Celtics, they deserve to get knocked out.
They do. They really do.
after they get knocked out, they deserve to be called the defending chumps. That's what they deserve.
I told you that. I said they were fake champions.
Yeah, you said that after game 2, though. Anything could have happened. Now
I knew. I said, look, man, you're down 2 games, and you got 2 games on your own damn court. Your court, not the visiting court. Your court. Yeah, you're fake champs. You ain't the real deal. I'm sorry, you ain't the real deal. I don't give a damn what they say. And I think it's proven throughout this, up until the point, even when Jason Tatum got hurt, I think we felt that. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. At the same time, I want to look at this. Look, I think barring something crazy, New York is going to walk with this series. And barring something crazy tonight, it should be the Pacers wrapping it up and meeting New York in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's just the way I think this is. Obviously, this is the way it's looking like it's going to shape out. I thought it was interesting. Very, very interesting when Chris had said a couple of times on the show, and I know Gonzo has kind of reiterated what Chris said, that they felt like the Pacers never get their due respect, that they felt like they're always getting slighted and undervalued and this, that, and the other. And I think Pags really kind of drove that point home today when he said that he felt like the Pacers couldn't hang with New York, that they didn't have the players to hang with New York. And I said specifically, Tony, I'm going to tell you right now, I said, now, obviously Pags had to go, so he didn't hear my conversation. But I did tell Bo and them that I felt like the Pacers will beat New York and that they will make it to the finals. Now, what they do in the actual finals, that's going to be hard to say because OKC is looking really good still. Denver still is good. In fact, that's a 2-2 right now in that series. And Minnesota is still looking really good. So there's a lot of competition in the West for the Pacers to contend with. But for right now, the fact that you guys are being undervalued by Philly Sports Guy going up against the New York Knickerbockers, well, that just speaks volumes to what you were saying earlier about not feeling like you're getting the respect that you deserve. And I can sympathize because I don't know how many times the Rockets I felt the same way weren't getting the respect I felt like they deserved. So I feel you. But Frankie, what do you think about that, man?
I don't give a shit what Philly Sports Guys say. And I love Jamie. Like he's someone that I wish that I can be, right? A super fan that goes to a lot of events and stuff like that. And he's known by many fans and everything like that. But I don't give a damn what Jamie has to say. I don't care what Philly Sports Guy has to say. I'm giving the Pacers respect. All right. Now you cannot accept or listen to what Philly Sports Guy had to say for someone who only's been to 1 game out of 82 for the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, he painted up 1 time in his Philadelphia gear and then just lost faith in them like 3 weeks into the season. Okay, so I don't care what Philly Sports Guy have to say. I do think that Indiana Pacers can compete with the New York Knicks. I think they can beat the New York Knicks because let's look at it, right? The Knicks are a good team. They really are. The Pacers are an amazing team because they have starting and they have bench. I don't know if the New York Knicks have bench. I know they got starting, but I don't know if they have bench. The Pacers have both. But the difference between the Pacers and the Celtics is when the Pacers have a lead, they keep on to that lead. Look at what they're doing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. We didn't think that we would see the Pacers up 3-1 on the Cavaliers unless your name is Chris Gonzo or Tony Gonzalez. If that's your name, then you must, obviously because Chris been saying for a while since before the series started that he thought the Pacers were going to win this in 5. And this guy's a guru because tonight the Pacers can win it in 5. So you gotta believe. I don't care what Philly Sports Guy had to say. For the Pacers to do this to a number 1 seed team and the second best record in the NBA, I think the Pacers can beat the New York Knicks. And looking at the West, I feel like the 2 teams that can give the Pacers a run for their money is probably OKC and Minnesota. I don't care about Denver. Obviously, we've seen what Denver do. If they go up against the Pacers, Denver's getting smoked. I swear to you, Jay, Denver's getting smoked. I don't know how Denver ends up winning 2 games against OKC. I really don't. I honestly thought that OKC was going to win this in 5 games or even 4. I thought I was going to see a sweep. But somehow, some way, we're going to end up with 6 games, maybe 7. I'm pissed off about it. But if you're really looking at this game, and I've said it since the beginning with OKC and Denver, OKC is faster than Denver. And I seen you the other day. I seen you on the message saying, "Well, why the hell is Joker so slow?" I said it since day one. That dude is slow. If I'm OKC, obviously you let Denver, you let Joker do what a Joker does. But the man is slow on that court. You're faster than half that team, half than the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
So I don't care about Denver.
I feel like with Denver and Joker specifically, and I said this earlier, I felt like Joker is a half-court system guy. You can't have Joker be on a team like OKC. You can't have Joker be on a team like Memphis. Or you can't have Joker even be on a team like the Rockets. It's a much faster-paced team. And that's just not Joker's style of play. That's not his athleticism. Joker is a half-court guy, which is why he does well in Denver, because Denver's a half-court team. He'd even do well with Golden State Warriors, because Golden State Warriors are a slower-paced half-court team. And, I feel like that's where he's best utilized is in those types of offenses, the half-court offense versus the full-press offense. So, it is what it is. To say that Denver can't still win tonight, or I think do they play tonight? I think they do play tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight we got OKC and Denver and Pacers and Cavs.
Right. So in order for Joker to win, in order for the Denver Nuggets to win, it has to be a slower paced game. It has to be more of a half court offense, and they have to force OKC to play at a slower tempo. And can they do it? I don't know. We'll see tonight. If they can command that, but it's got to be. They have to dictate a slower paced game. They can't run and gun with OKC. If they try to run and gun with OKC, they're going to lose that game every which way.
I think OKC wins it tonight. I honestly do. I think because OKC is home, if I'm not mistaken. I think they win tonight. I think the Pacers ended tonight, get a nice well rest before having to see who they're going to face, because realistically, the Celtics can win the next game. I do think that the Knicks are going to end up winning that series. The real question is it going to happen in 5, or is the Knicks going to end up having to go travel back home and winning in front of their fans? I could see that happening, but I do think Pacers win tonight. I think the OKC wins tonight. Now the
OKC is actually at home. OKC is at home, and the Cavaliers are at home.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I'm going with OKC because they're in front of their fan base. They love playing in their home court. They love playing in front of their fans. The Cavs are gonna lose. It's just that plain and simple. I don't need to give no explanation. They're gonna lose. The Pacers are just on fire right now. Tyrese Halliburton is on another level. They want to call him an overrated player. Listen, he's showing you that he's not an overrated player. But go ahead, Tyrese, do your thing. Eliminate the Cavs and show them why they're never gonna be the Cavs. I mean, you're never going to beat the Cavs.
You're not speaking wrong. You're not speaking wrong. I like I said, tonight, I think the Pacers are going to wrap up, handle business. That series is done. I really believe that, because Donovan Mitchell, that's another thing too. Donovan Mitchell is a game time decision. So even if he gets the go, even if Donovan Mitchell gets the go, you got to imagine he's not healthy. So how much of Donovan Mitchell are you really going to get tonight in that game if he actually does play, right? So it's very look. This is every bit for the Pacers to win. I don't want to say Gonzo. I don't want you to think I'm undervaluing your team. I'm certainly on board that I would like to see the Pacers actually win the whole thing, because the Pacers have never won a championship. I'd like to see the Pacers get some hardware. And if they don't get it, then I'd like to see maybe Minnesota get it, But at the end of the day, man, it's really going to come down to, handling a business once you get to that next level against New York. You got to come out, because you're going to get a fully healthy New York team. You're not going to get a hobbled Cleveland Cavaliers team. You're getting a fully ramped up, coming off a Boston Celtics whooping, going up against you full of confidence, and you're going to have to match that confidence level.
I mean, hold on.
You know what I'm saying, Frankie? When I said they're going to have to match that intensity.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. But let's not sit here and act like Cleveland has been hobbled the whole playoff series. They just got hobbled.
I mean, have they not, though? Well, watch this. Mobley, I think, played game 1, and then he was out games 2 and 3, I believe. Garland, which is their number 2 scorer at 21 points a game, was out for a significant period of time. Matter of fact, I think he got his first game in, what was it, yesterday maybe? And then Hunter's been out for a little bit. So it's not like these guys have had a full, healthy, 100% roster going at it like the Pacers have. Let's keep it very in perspective on that, Frank. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Pacers. I'm just saying you didn't get a fully healthy Cleveland Cavaliers. You did.
But let me ask you this, Jay, because we saw a non-fully healthy Cleveland Cavaliers team in the regular season, and what was happening? They were still winning. They were still winning with their second players and stuff like that. They were still, because they were still winning. So I don't get why everyone's momentum changes. Like, I'm trying to explain this the best way I can. Okay, here we go. I don't understand how the top teams, right, going into the playoffs, you got the good record, you got the hot streaks, you got the talent, right, and you get into the playoffs, and then your mindset changes. It's like you were the best team in the regular season, then you come into the playoffs, and then it's gone. Where did it go? Look at what's going on with Cleveland. Look at what's going on with the Celtics. Look what happened between the Rockets and the Lakers. Right, we were second and third seed team. So I mean, we were hot. There's a bunch of hot. Look at the Golden State Warriors. Now the Golden State Warriors, and we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. That's a totally different story because they don't have Steph Curry. But look at these teams. Like you have good records, you had good streaks. You got the players and the talent. Then you come into the playoffs, and it's like it's gone. I don't understand how it's gone. It just disappeared. Like, where did it go? I don't get it. And I'm not trying to take nothing away from Chris. I'm not trying to take nothing away from Tony or Glenn. Listen, the Pacers are hot, right? We've seen them play like this since the All-Star break. They're literally like the top 3 best teams since that period. But I don't see no difference on what the Pacers are doing. They're playing the same style basketball they've been playing since the All-Star break. The only difference is they have every single piece that they needed. There's not one injury that's on that roster right now, and they're winning games. Compared to all these other teams that they beat. Listen, they didn't have Damian Lillard for Milwaukee, but I'm not going to take that away from them because guess what? You still had Giannis in that team with Milwaukee. So it's not Milwaukee should have at least won a couple more games. Then you go up to Cleveland, and I get what you're saying. You got a couple players who played game 1 and then they missed game 2, game 3. It's cool. But then again, we've seen that in the regular season where these players are missing games, but their second string players that come off the bench, they were stepping up as well. So where is their step up in the playoffs this time around? It's like, oh no, I'm a bench player, right? It was regular season. This is the playoff time, man. This is the stars to do what they're doing. No, mother effer, you're a star too. You're a star. Just because you're on the bench don't mean anything. You're an NBA player on the Cleveland Cavaliers who wants, this is your opportunity. If a starter is down, step on up because this is your opportunity, kid. You could get the contract extension. You could get teams looking at you like, oh, wow, look what he did in the playoffs. I want this guy on my roster. And then you'll change from being a bench player to a starter. Who knows?
Exactly.
But no.
And that's the thing, though, right? You have New York that, for all intents and purposes, has destroyed Boston. Now, Boston obviously took an unfortunate with Tatum going down with injury. But let's be honest. New York has destroyed Boston.
Yeah.
Destroyed them. And I really think because they beat them in the way in which they beat them, right? Getting 2 games in the Garden in Boston, coming home. You lost 1 at home, but then you took care of, So I think it's a fashion in the way in which New York beat the Celtics that gives them a certain level of credibility so that when the Pacers do play New York, first of all, Frankie, I think that's going to be a good series.
Yeah.
I think it's going to go 7 games. I think the Pacers in New York, I'm going to call it now, I fully believe it goes 7 games. I think it's going to be hard fought. I do think the Pacers will come out on top and be in the finals. But I think it's going to be a very well-fought game. And I feel like the Pacers, for respect purposes, need to go up against New York because of the way in which New York beat Boston to give them a certain level of credibility to be in the finals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like they needed that to happen. Now, they got to handle business. Now, if they go in there and open up a can of whoop ass on New York and they take New York, in 5 or 6 games, that really gives them a good sense of credibility going into the finals because I don't know who they're going to match up against. It could be Minnesota, OKC, possibly Denver. I mean, I think, Denver would be, I think out of all that, I think Denver would be the easier matchup because of the fact that they do play a half-court offense and they don't really have a true legitimate coach yet. I can't give, I hate to say that about David Adelman because his dad was Rick Adelman, and Rick Adelman was a really good coach. I think David this is his first time out, and his first time out is game 1 in the playoffs of series 1. It's kind of putting David in an awkward position when you got Joker over there on the side calling plays, and it's almost like David Adelman is kind of off to the side because he doesn't know where to
bullied.
Is dominant. Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's getting bullied. He's a pocket player.
It's almost uncomfortable to watch at times.
Yeah.
But I do think the Pacers probably would have the easiest route to an NBA championship through Denver. I think that would be their easiest path. I think if they go up against a fast-running, very experienced, very talented Minnesota and a fast-running, very talented, super experienced now, or not super experienced, but experienced OKC team, that it's going to be a lot harder route for them to go. But I do think if you are the Pacers, and I'm pretty sure Gonzo and Tony will tell you this, that they probably want to pay an OKC. They want the best of the best because they need to play the best of the best. It's like they got to play New York to keep that respect level, and so they can get the respect that they deserve. They have to have that hard road to get the respect that they're looking for, right?
And not just trying to earn the respect of other fans and the media and the analysts and anything like that. But and me, if you guys are watching, me, myself, and Jay, we say this all the time, and this is why Jay is saying that, Chris and Tony, if they were here, they will say this, that they want to, we like to face the best, a fully healthy best team, because there's a saying that in order for you to be the best, you have to beat the best. Okay?
Yeah.
And let me say it again for those of you who are just tuning in. In order for you to be the best, you have to beat the best. So I can see Indiana doing that, and I can see Indiana, of course, they're like, that's the easiest way to win a championship. Let's go up against Denver and let's hope Denver wins. No, but if you're a fan base of Indy, right? If you're a fan base of the Pacers, you're a fan of them, if you're a diehard fan, and you want to win a championship because you've never seen one, and you want to finally go to that or have that feeling of going to the championship celebration, the parade, and everything like that. If I'm a fan of the Pacers, I want to say I want to go up against Karl Anthony Towns, right? You're about to.
Yeah.
I want to. Yeah. I'll say I want to go up against Anthony Edwards in the finals. I want to go up against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the finals. Now, how can I say this? I can see a good matchup between OKC and Pacers, but I think that will be a little over advantage for the Pacers part, because OKC doesn't have a bunch of big men besides like Chet Holmgren or anything like that. Indiana got a couple good big men, right? Now Minnesota, on the other hand, if we see a Minnesota-Indiana Pacers matchup for the finals, Jay, that finals is going to be amazing. Let's think about it. Rudy Gobert with Miles Turner, right? You got Anthony Edwards with Tyrese Halliburton. Oh my God, I could just think of it right now, how beautiful that goddamn finals is gonna be. Oh my God. I hope it's Pacers and Timberwolves in the finals. That's gonna be an absolute amazing matchup. But there's always a but, ladies and gentlemen. There's always a but. But if it ends up becoming the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, my West Coast side is going to have to fly over back to the East Coast, and I'm going to have to ride with my hometown. I'm going to have to go with the New York Knicks. I'm going to have to go up against Tony and Chris, because I'm going to have to, show them up. Like, listen. Y'all had your little run. You had your little moment. Cool. Y'all went to the Eastern Conference Final last year. Cool. Guess what? This is as far as you're going to reach it again. Back-to-back years, baby. You ain't making it to the finals. You know why? Because you in the city of the great Big Apple, the city that never sleeps, the goddamn city with the assholes of New Yorkers, baby.
Hey, Joe. Joe says, what happened to the rest of the crew? Right now, I'm assuming that Tony and Chris are at the house pre-gaming for the likely win of the series. That's kind of what I'm suspecting. And then again, Chris and Tony won't be on tomorrow because we're gonna go watch that crappy team called the Cincinnati Reds try to get a win, along with Glenn. Glenn won't be on tomorrow either because he'll be trying to watch that crappy Cincinnati Reds team get a win. I'm just teasing.
You're being too nice. All right,
I am.
honest. Let's be honest. I'm gonna bring it back up to Joe. I'm gonna bring it back up to Joe real quick because this is my take. I'm gonna be honest. All right, this is Frankie Yankee coming out real quick. Tony and Chris are not here because they're on their hands and knees praying to whatever God they pray to, hoping that they don't lose this game. They're praying that they could just reach the Eastern Conference Finals for a second year in a row starting tonight. So, and they're praying that Glenn doesn't say anything on Facebook because every time Glenn's opened his mouth on Facebook, something ends up happening bad to the Pacers. So they're praying right now, okay? Jay's over there just being nice, Joe. what really it is they don't want to come on the show today because they didn't want to jinx their team. They like to talk about their team, but they don't want to jinx their team. And they're not coming tomorrow, Joe, for one reason and one reason only. Because if the Pacers lose tonight, they don't want to hear Jay and myself. That's the only reason why.
Oh, man.
They know if they lose tonight, me and Jay are going to come out saying, y'all just lost the series because you let them win one.
Yeah, we bring in the heat. We bring in the heat if they lose. If they lose, especially with Donovan Mitchell being a game-time decision, yeah, we bring in the heat. That you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that split.
Real quick, come on, Jay. They're going to the Red game tomorrow. They watch the Red games every goddamn day in their house. They don't care about going to the game. We know they're not going to the game. They just don't want to show up on the show. They know.
Man, that's because they're nervous, Frankie. They're riding nervous right now. I'm just saying they're riding nervous.
We all do it. There's times where our team lose and we're just so upset. We're just like, I don't know.
Man, I'm telling you, with the Rockets, do you know how hard it was to come on the show after the Rockets lost? Dude, I was so depressed. I can't tell you how depressed I was. But anyway,
I wasn't. And you know why I wasn't mad? Because we didn't have a big, and we deserved to get beat by the Wolves, right? I mean, Anthony Edwards came out and was like, "Listen, I've been hearing nothing but Lakers in 5 since day one," but he switched it around. And he made the Timberwolves in 5, right? So I'm not mad. Anthony Edwards did me a favor. He saved me a trip from getting more upset later on. Because let's be real, the farther you go, the more upset you'll be if you lose it. The closer you get to that championship and you don't make it, you get more upset. It's better to lose in the first round and just quickly have your little 5 minute of upsetness than rather having to make it to the Eastern or Western Conference Finals or the finals, let alone the finals, and lose it compared to that's like a month or two of upsetness. So, I mean, it's cool. Thank you, Anthony Edwards. You sent me to Cancun where it's beautiful and sunny. I'm loving the drinks. I'm loving the women. I'm loving the beach. The water is beautiful here. I can't wait to see all my other friends, like Chris and Gonzo. They're going to be here soon, probably in another round. Who else? Oh, we got Jacob. Our boy Jacob. He's going to be here soon because, he ain't going to
Hey, Frankie. I told Gonzo and Tony the other day, I said, do you want me to go ahead and reserve your room now? And if so, do you want double beds or a single bed?
They want a single twin size bed. Single twin size bed. Father, son, cuddle up, crying together.
Cuddle up and crying. Cuddling and crying. Hey, real quick. So I don't want to talk Golden State today because right now we're about 48 minutes. We're going to talk Golden State tomorrow. Me and Frankie are going to be talking Golden State tomorrow because that game actually doesn't go down until tomorrow night anyway. So on Coast tomorrow, we will.
Real quickly, 2 minutes. They did play last night. They lost. They're down 3-1. So we'll talk about it tomorrow, where it could be an elimination game for Golden State.
Yeah.
No Steph Curry, 3 straight games. Obviously, this is what happens. Jimmy Butler is supposed to be the Robin of his Batman, and Jimmy Butler obviously is trying to do what he can, but he's not. So long story short, congratulations, Minnesota. You're back in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, and again, that's our quick blurb. We will talk more about that game as well as the upcoming game on Wednesday. So you'll get a whole Warriors monologue about past, present, future. Yeah, we'll definitely talk a lot about that. Real quick, Frankie, I want to talk just about. I want to get your expectation of tonight. I think we already have it, but one more time, I just want to say the one game it is tonight that is of, I think, because obviously we know the Pacers game is not really, we already covered the hell out of that. But Denver OKC, that's the late game. That's the 8 o'clock. I believe it's 8 o'clock Central Time. Should be 9 o'clock, I believe, Eastern. You definitely have OKC in OKC going 3-2 and sending it back to Denver for game 6.
Yes. Yeah, I got OKC tonight, beating the Nuggets. Not a blowout win. I think it's going to be close because literally all 3 of these games that they've played already, or 4 games that they played already, has been nothing but close. I don't think we've seen one blowout game in this series yet between these two franchises. So it's not going to be a blowout game. I'm not going to give you a final score prediction because every time I get a final score prediction, it never comes out true in the NBA. I can tell you 112 to 109 in favor of OKC, and then it ends up being like 96 to 92 OKC or whatever like that. So I ain't giving a final prediction score, but I am going to give you a final prediction win, and it's going to be OKC, very close game, getting the win over Denver.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say about this game is I feel like whoever controls the tempo of the game is going to come away with the win. I don't think if Denver is in that fast run and gun style, that will pretty much take Joker out of the defensive side of it, I believe. And so for those reasons, I think OKC would win. I will tell you this, and Frankie, I think you know this, that Joker and company are very tired at this point.
Yeah,
they're very freaking fatigued. And if you didn't watch that last game with Denver and OKC, where you saw Joker putting up threes and they were hitting the front of the rim and not even over the rim, that just tells you that Joker is tired. That dude is tired. He is done. He is cooked, baked, however you want to say it. And that's trying to do all he can, Jay. Because I think Denver is a very fatigued team. I am going to roll with OKC to get the win tonight because I don't think Denver has enough stamina or energy in the tank right now to even be a competitive version of themselves.
And you know what's really bad about it, really quickly, is they don't need you, Joker, to be that stamina guy. You have Jamal Murray. He's fast. You have Russell Westbrook. He's old, but he's fast. You got Aaron Gordon. He's tall, but he's fast. I mean, you got a lot of other people that are fast that can keep up the full court press or anything like that with OKC, but it ain't happening. My boy Mike Hughes wants the link. Oh my God.
So Joe says he's got both home teams tonight, Cleveland and Thunder. If Cleveland gets it, it's going to take a hell of a lot on their end to extend the series. And we'll see if that comes to fruition. Real quick, while we're waiting for Mike to come into the show, Frankie, let's talk a little bit about this draft lottery, man.
Oh, my God.
How the hell did Dallas pull that one up? Now, obviously,
we should start. First of all, before you go, we should have started off with this shit because this right here would have taken the whole show, Jay. Like,
it probably would, and I'm sure Mike is going to have a lot to say about it, which is kind of what I want to bring it up now. So when Mike comes into the show, we can expand upon it. But real quick, if you watch Coast to Coast today, Pags was furious, if not to say that he said the NBA is full of shit and that he's pissed off and hates it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And,
I agree. That's the first thing. That's the first thing I said in the group message, ladies and gentlemen. We have a group message for us here at ESPN. A bunch of us here, that does different shows on this network are on this group chat. And after the draft lottery, I was the first person to come up and say, and I'm the last person that will say anything like this of any sport. I came out, and the first thing that was said is the NBA is it's rigged. I'm trying to hold my tongue back and not curse, but I'm so upset on this. But it's rigged. It's rigged. You can't tell me that you had a team that's projected to have the 11th pick in the draft, scoop on up, or even the 12th pick in the draft, scoop on up and get the number 1 pick after trading away Luka Doncic to the Lakers. Like, really? Like, come on. You cannot tell me that the NBA is not rigged on that part. The NBA just clearly said, listen, your fan base is unhappy. We don't want them, we're getting nonstop calls by these fan base of Dallas of what you guys did with Luka, and they're not really happy with you guys, blah, blah, blah. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to somehow, some way fit you guys into getting at least, if not a top 5, top 4 draft pick. But they're not going to say that it's the number 1 pick. That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
How in the hell does Dallas end up getting the number 1 goddamn draft pick? It's insane to me. It pisses me off. I fully now stand by saying the NBA is fuck. See, you say I'm trying to hold it back. The NBA is freaking rigged after that. I'm pissed off about it. I am so mad. I'm even mad for Mike because Mike's a Bulls fan, and the Bulls they're kind of like they were kind of like the same like Matt the Dallas, right? I think you guys were both 10 seed or whatever like that. You guys both were in the play-in. I think you guys had about the same record. You guys were projected to get the 11th pick or 12th pick. They were projected to get the 11th or 12th pick. You guys ended up with the 12th pick, and they ended up with the first pick. How? I don't freaking know, but it's ridiculous. Adam Silver is insane. I know he's in this shit. I know he's under the bottom of this shit of giving Dallas the goddamn number 1 pick just to make the fan base happy. It pisses me off, and I feel bad for Cooper Flagg to having to play with a guy made of glass of Anthony Davis. Yes, I get to say it. Finally, after all these years, a player made out of glass and an old man in Kyrie Irving who's only going to be known for that 1 year with LeBron James in that one game that he did and for becoming Uncle Drew in that movie, all right? And I know that's your boy, Mike. I'm sorry. Let me rant right now. I'm just upset, bro. I'm just upset. It's just, and the NBA's freaking rigged, bro. I just don't understand how they end up with the number 1 pick, bro. That's my alarm. I got to take my chill medicine. Thank you, Jay.
I was about to say, I put an alarm to let this rant go so Mike can get in. Mike, clearly, as you can see, we're talking about the draft lottery real quick. Wow, right? Wow.
Yeah, wow. I mean, no one had to openly talk about how the Bulls and the Mavericks flipped a coin to see who would get the rights to that pick. I could have went my whole life without knowing that. I don't know why it did get brought
pretty
up.
good.
I didn't need to know that. They were talking about it. JC was talking about it, and he's a really great media Chicago Bulls reporter here. And he was saying that's the second worst coin flip in Bulls history. The first one was they did a coin flip that would determine who got the number 1 pick. I think it was in 1979, and that was Magic Johnson. And the Bulls got the number 2 pick, and the Lakers got the number 1 pick. So that it's fucked up.
You guys, hold on. That's serious? You guys really did a coin flip to see who gets the 12th pick?
Yeah, that's 100% accurate because it was the same. Somebody, I mean, look, everybody's going to say what they're going to say. And Frankie, me and you had great banter back and forth with the Bulls versus the Lakers. But everybody's saying if Josh Giddey didn't make that shot, the Bulls would have the number 1 overall pick right now. But honestly, that was a fucking crazy shot. Like, that's one of my favorite Bulls moments in a long time. So, and I'm not sour grapes right now whatsoever, but I'm also not the biggest Cooper Flagg fan in the entire world either. I really felt like it was an underwhelming rookie season for him in college, and I don't know. I think we'll see. We'll definitely see. I'm shitty that I have the 12th pick. I'm shitty that I. But as I told Frankie yesterday, and I will openly admit it on this show, 25 years I'm coming up on, and I know nothing but pain. Every time I've gotten close, they've taken ACLs, they've taken my heart, they've taken my soul. I am rocking out with Luka Doncic the rest of the way until the Chicago Bulls show me that they care about playing basketball. Because every single year, we're top 3 in the lottery, we're top 5, and then March comes around and let's just win 8 of 10. Let's just be great. Let's just be competent. And then the offseason will come and we'll get nothing. And the draft will come and we'll get nothing. So that's why I took down the banner. I said, I can't, Jay understands it. And I've talked to many people about it. And Randy's upset with me because I did pick Luka over Ja. Don't know. I've been watching Luka since I was like 17 and he was playing overseas. So I don't know, man. Rob Scott and I talked about it a lot and how Rob follows Steph Curry. And I took a page out of Rob's book and I said, I love the game. I just have to watch competitive hoops, man. you can't hate your life. I'm a Chicago fan through and through, so every team fucking sucks. So I gotta be happy sometimes. You know what I mean? So I'm rocking with Frankie and the Lakers right now as a Luka Doncic servant. And yeah, that's where I'm at.
So I got a question for you. Obviously, it was posed on a different show that the whole Luka Doncic trade to LA and Nico came under fire, like Frankie said a minute ago. The fan base, this, that, and the other, was all hating about it. And so it was proposed that David Silver put some substances or some kind to make the ball stay lower and one ball go a little higher, to where that ball was the one that went through this shoot, and basically saying that the NBA did rig this lottery. Is that your interpretation as well?
I don't think it matters what mine is, but LeBron said it pretty clearly. You know, LeBron was on the Pat McAfee show and he said, you know, it's really, really unique that Derrick Rose had a 1% chance of going to Chicago, and he did. And it's a very unique that the Cavs got to pick to Cleveland, you know, and it's just one of those things where, you know, Bron said it openly that it makes money. It makes it make sense for the league. As for Dallas, you know, sending Luka over to LA definitely does amazing things for ratings in the NBA. And then how do you get repaid? You get Anthony Davis and the number 1 overall pick. So, I mean, you know, it makes, you know, we could do the speculation thing all day. I think it makes a lot of fucking sense. And I think, you know, a lot of people always say, well, wrestling's fake, right? Why do you watch the WWE? If we're being honest, I think the majority of every sport you watch, whether that's baseball, football, basketball, whatever. I watched it because of Pat McAfee the other day. Shout out to him. Popped his blood vessel in his eye. That's just crazy. But I think the majority of sports that we watch, whether it's, you know, as scripted as wrestling, or maybe it's not as scripted as basketball, there's definitely people controlling what's happening. You know what I mean? And I definitely think it's fair. And Jay, you know me, I'm gonna watch no matter what they do. So, like, you know, like, they got my fucking money. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna still have League Pass next year. I'm gonna still be watching every game of Luka's, and like, that's just the fans in us, and we know that as fans. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's always different every single year. So I definitely think it's rigged. I will say, I don't even think Dallas drafts Cooper Flag, though. I really don't.
I said that too.
I don't think they
said
do.
that too. I said, watch, they're gonna get the number 1 pick, and Nico Harrison is gonna just do something more stupid to piss off the fans and just get someone else, and then everybody's gonna boo that person because they've been dying for and hoping for that they get Cooper Flag.
Yeah,
and it's not gonna happen. And then the NBA is just gonna be like, oh well, you know what? The trade deadline is this day. We'll make sure you get somebody big.
Yeah.
Do you think if Nico does draft a player not named Cooper Flag, do you think that he's going to get fired and lose his job because of it?
They'll wait to see how he plays.
Yeah, I don't think, one, if Nico drafts Cooper Flag, I think that gives him another 5-year window, because then you're trying to build a team around Cooper Flag, and you have to wait for Kyrie to come back, and Kyrie's not going to come back till 2027 at earliest. And that's like a whole, and then Anthony Davis, he might be out by 2027 5 different times. So who knows? But, you know, for me, like, everyone thinks that Giannis is going to San Antonio. Everyone thinks the number 2 overall pick, Vassell or Castle, somebody's going to get Giannis to San Antonio. And I love that idea. But what's better than the number 2 pick is the number 1 pick. And I think if you can get Giannis, AD, and Kyrie, you got some shit going over in Dallas. And that's really, for me, whether it's Zion or Giannis, you know, you hear Nico talk about winning now. And if you're trading away Cooper Flag, Klay Thompson, and Daniel Gafford in order to get a guy like Zion, and you still got Kyrie, AD, Lively, you know, PJ Washington, whoever else you gotta figure out to be around that. I think you have some real beautiful pieces over there. And, you know, when we talk about Giannis being on the deal, and I'm sure we'll talk about it together this summer, you know, you're looking at multiple first-round picks unless you have the number 1 overall pick. If you have the number 1 overall pick, I feel like you could be like, hey, I'll give you a number 1 overall pick and then a future first. And I think that's pretty fair. You know what I mean? So it's
and a low-budget player.
Yeah,
I'm sure Milwaukee's going to want a player in return for another player.
Yeah, I mean, I saw one earlier, Jay. I don't mean to hijack the show, but I thought you would like
No,
it.
you're good.
FanDuel posted it, and FanDuel is usually pretty on top of it because you have to match the salaries. So I don't know if this works out financially, but if they posted it, it must have. They said the Bucks will trade Giannis Antetokounmpo for the #1 overall pick, PJ Washington, Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, and some random motherfucker named Oliver Maxience Prosper. Never heard of him. Guess he's on the team. He must make money that makes sense. But shout out that motherfucker, whoever Oliver.
He get that passive. Hey, he get the best courtside seats and a little bit of a dip in the bank.
He making money. That's more money than me, so I ain't gonna hate on him. But I really like that because Frankie knows I've talked to him. You know, I'm a huge Klay fan as well. Klay looks like shit. And PJ Washington looked like shit in the finals. And when you already have Derek Lively, you don't really need Daniel Gafford. And you have Anthony Davis on top of that, and you're bringing in Giannis. So if you have AD, Lively, and Giannis, and then you just wait for Kyrie to come back, that's a big fucking team, bro. That team is huge.
But on paper, it sounds good what you're saying. But the biggest thing is will AD actually be healthy?
You know,
that's the problem. See, that's the part. It sounds so good when you say it the way you say it, but when you actually know the history of injuries with Kyrie and AD, it doesn't look so good on the court, Mike. And that's the problem I have with it.
Yeah, you know, a blowjob sounds great until someone starts biting your dick. But
oh my god,
what happened? Oh, sorry, I forgot what show I'm on. I forgot. Sometimes
you're all right, man.
Sometimes, we did so many shows on ASAP.
Network, Mike. There's females on this network.
We did so many shows on ASAP. Sometimes I forget I have to send.
I know, man. Hey, look, I gotta remind Frankie sometimes. It's all right. Question, Mike. Question. Here's a big question. So you said you don't think Cooper Flagg necessarily should be the #1. So in your opinion, in this draft class, who do you think is worthy of the #1 pick?
Oh, no, I think Cooper Flagg is the #1 overall pick, undoubtedly. I just don't think Dallas necessarily drafts him just because Nico keeps talking about, like, I want to win now. And Cooper Flagg only playing 1 year at Duke. You know, I'm not – it wasn't a Zion Williamson-esque season. I never really saw him jumping out the gym. I never really saw him taking over the game. It really felt like they were playing team ball, which is great for a young kid, because he's really just understanding his role. And I always say if you're a role, it's easy to be a superstar, but it's harder to be a role player because you really got to understand where you lie, you know what I mean? And how you can continue to contribute for 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? Look at Paul George. You look at Zion. Once that health goes, once those knees go, you got a problem. You know what I mean? But so I don't know if Cooper Flagg immediately makes them an impactful playoff team. That's just how I feel about it. Now, if he wants to win right now and you can get Giannis or Zion or whoever, but
yeah.
And I
think a number of people have said that Flagg is not truly NBA ready. Like he's going to come out in this league this year because his momentum is high enough that he wouldn't want to be the #1 pick. But I think he still has another year or two under good coaching to develop into the player that he will eventually be. I think there's still some developmental. That's good. So to your credit, why he wouldn't be necessarily taking a team to the playoffs year one, because there's a certain development that he's going to still have to go through to get there. Hell, even Bron, when he came in the league, and Kobe and all the greats and stuff, wasn't year one ready. They had to ride that bench a little bit.
And I'm looking at it right here on Tankathon. They always do like the draft stuff, and I'll probably send it to Frankie later too. But it's like if you're looking at the top 12, every single one of them, the top 12 players in this draft are all coming out as freshmen. Like they were all freshmen in this year. I really like Dylan Harper out of Rutgers. I think that kid is a monster. I think he's going to be really exciting to watch. But it's like Trey Johnson's pretty good too. But they're all freshmen, so they're all really young. Do you trust a freshman to take you to the NBA Finals? Because to me, and that's what I told Frankie, that's the standard. If you're Dallas, like Luka took you there. Like the conversation isn't, well, we need a defensive player of the year. I don't give a fuck. If you get to the finals, you're cool. You know what I mean? Like, so you better get there with Cooper Flagg in year one. And that's a lot to ask out of a rookie. So maybe you do trade for Giannis, a guy who's been there, a guy who's won a championship. He's in his prime. Like, we'll see. But I don't think it makes sense.
Like,
and I also believe the reason why Nico won't get Cooper Flagg is because not only is he saying they want to win now, but he's also been saying since he traded away Luka, that defense wins you championships, and I wouldn't be surprised that that's the route that he's going. Because Cooper Flag, I've seen Cooper Flag play because I like Duke from Coach K, and
Yeah.
I keep watching them and stuff like that. But watching Cooper Flag this year, and even into the March Madness, he didn't play much defense. He was just straight offense. I didn't see him go back and play defense. And if I did see him go back and play defense, he did a LeBron James, stood right there at the 3-point line opposite side, and just wait until they get a rebound. And then you see him running down. And obviously he gets the ball in his hand because it's Cooper Flag, and that's what he's known for, is offense. So Nico's over there saying he wants defense wins championship mentality. He's going to get someone to play defense, which is why it's a good point, Mike, on what you said, that they could trade away that first overall pick to get Giannis. That's a good point. But then again, why would Giannis want to go to Dallas? It's so stupid. That's like asking Tom Brady to get traded to the freaking Cowboys.
Yeah.
So dumb.
Oh, Lord.
So dumb.
Well, Houston has the number 10 pick. And, I wouldn't mind getting Knipple, how you say that guy's name, from Duke. I think he's got a great shot. He's got a good 3-point shot. And that's somebody that I think could really fit into our rotation as a 3-point, specialist, if you will. But I don't think he's going to be at number 10. The 2 mock drafts I saw have him going at number 5, and the other one I saw had him going at number 8. So I don't think we're going to see him at 10. But, man, I would love to have had him at 10.
Hey, you never say never. Never say never, because nobody thought Dalton Knecht was going to end up in the Lakers at 17.
Well, that's true.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Never say never.
Yeah, another great Bulls pick. But I like Modest Buzelis. I was watching everything go down right now with Tyrese Halliburton, and I'm just so happy the Bulls took Patrick Williams at number 4 instead of a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. It's awesome. It's awesome. Or like, I don't know, like a guy like Tyrese Maxey, or I don't know. Yeah, we can go down a whole rabbit hole.
Mike, I want to be serious right now. The last time you seen a good first round draft pick for the Bulls, what was the last time? Was it Derrick Rose? Was that the last? You feel like the last good first round pick for the Bulls?
When I say the word good, I think it's different than other people's. Like when I say good, I mean great, and that's like my expectation. Jimmy was a second round pick. Jimmy Butler was probably the closest, but he was a second round pick, or was he a second round pick or a late first round pick? But I would say Kobe White. Kobe White's that guy to me. He picked him 7th overall out of North Carolina. I love Kobe White. I'm a big Kobe White guy. But Modest Buzelis, this kid we got last year too, straight out the G League. I mean, he was arguably, once Zach LaVine got traded, to me, he was the rookie of the year in a lot of different categories. Like, he really did produce. He just didn't play the first half of the year because Billy Donovan's I can't say that word on stream, but he's a T word. He's a T word for sure. But he's just allergic to winning basketball games. But I like Modest. Kobe's probably the closest though. But then when we Derrick Rose, Kobe White, you know what I mean? Like there's 2 fucking different conversations.
Not just 2 conversations, but that's a long draft gap. I think what was Derrick Rose, like 2009, 2010 draft, I think, or something like that.
It was 8.
2008. So and then Kobe White was like, I think 2020s times, like 2020 areas.
I think that was 2018. I want to say that was because it was the
that's
same
like
year as Zion.
10-year gap. Then that's still a 10-year gap. That's a big gap for the Bulls.
Yeah, still. I don't know.
The fact that what's mind blowing to me, guys, what's mind blowing to me is I don't understand how Dallas still ends up with a first round pick. I don't understand how they end up with a first round. Like, how you made the freaking play in? How are you getting the number 1 pick? I feel more bad for the Utah Jazz than I do for Dallas fans. Honestly, I really do. That sucks because Utah is the only team in NBA history since the draft has started to not have a first overall pick in the lottery or in the draft at all. They're the only team to never have a number 1 overall pick. It's mind-blowing. That's crazy. But yet they want to give it to Dallas because their fan bases are sending coffins in front of their stadium because
I remember that. That was crazy.
Like, it's insane. But yeah, let's give them the first round pick. I said this to Mike and I said this to Randy. I said, watch the San Antonio Spurs ends up getting it, right? And then Tony's coming out. He's like, yo, that would be crazy because, you got Wemby, you'll have Cooper Flag, you'll have this guy. And I'm like, yeah, don't forget about De'Aaron Fox. Don't forget about the leadership of Chris Paul. I mean, so like that they would be The face you made. The leadership, Mike. I said leadership, not the play.
Lead me to what?
Leadership.
Lead me to what?
The only thing, what's beautiful in my life right now, though, Frank. You know what's beautiful in my life right now, though? Hold on, Frank. You know what's beautiful in my life? The beautiful thing in my life is we were the number 2 seed, and we get the number 10 lottery pick from Phoenix. And if Phoenix can some kind of a way find a trade partner for Durant, that's not the Rockets, and Durant goes somewhere else, and then Phoenix goes even further down, hopefully next year in the rankings, we get Phoenix's number 2 lottery pick, or their next lottery pick next year. So we can have potentially 2 lottery picks back to back at the number 2 seed, and that's why I feel really good about what they're doing in Houston.
You can get the number 2 lottery.
I know. Doesn't that make you feel bad, Frankie? See, Mike, what you're seeing right now, this is where Frankie is sad, and Frankie gets sad.
I'm not sad.
He makes those
I'm
kinds of
not
noises.
sad. I got Luka, baby. I got a 3-point shooter. Do you?
You got freaking Luka. You got
a 3-point shooter? Because I do. His name is Luka, baby. You can't spell LA without Luka in it.
Everybody says that, but here's the deal: you can have Luka, and that's great. But if you have nothing else around him except an aging LeBron, maybe a halfway decent AR-15, and then after that is pretty much crickets, yeah, you can keep your Luka.
I like Dalton Connect.
Hey, if you're lucky, maybe they'll trade you Dalton Connect.
I'm not that lucky.
You know what's the difference? Hold on, Jay. You know what's the difference between my star and your star? My star scores 30 points in a playoff games. Your star doesn't show up unless Jimmy Butler's not playing.
I understand that, but yet, see, that's the difference between you and me. When your star doesn't show up, you don't go anywhere. When my star doesn't show up, we still make it a 7-game series.
But did you really go anywhere? You stood in the same series.
I mean, you can say that, right?
Yeah, you're right. You did. Jay, I'm sorry. You did go somewhere. You ended up in Cancun with me.
Right, but just a little bit later.
I'm there too. I've been there longer than both of y'all. I've been chilling. I know where everything is. I know where the bathroom is. I know where the pool's at. I know where the towels at. You need extra towels. I know where there's at. I know everything. I stay in Cancun.
Let me ask you guys a question. Switching over to football real quick. So Cincinnati Bengals defensive end Hendrickson has now said that he is now demanding a trade. There's definitely a rift between him and management and the GM. He did say it was repairable. Do you think it does get repaired and he does find a way to stay with the team? Which, by the way, he was really angry that he felt like, look, you paid 3 of your offensive people more than you did to all of their defense. Why can't you pay me? So do you think he eventually gets traded? And how much damage do you think he's come out basically slamming the team over the internet?
Yeah, he can go. Bye. See ya.
Yeah.
Not missed. You're old as fuck. Sorry. You know what I mean? Like Robert Quinn had 19 and a half sacks for the Bears in 2020 or 2021. He was 35. I'm not paying you, bro. Like Trey's old. And that's what it is. Like, I don't mean no disrespect. Like,
yeah,
you get paid or you don't. Myles Garrett got paid. Why didn't you get paid? You're pointing fingers at T. Higgins, who's top 10 wide receiver. If Jamar Chase isn't on that team, and then Jamar Chase is a top 2 wide receiver in this league. Like, and then Joe Burrow. Cry about it. Like, I promise you, I could not go to a Cincinnati Bengals game and see more than 15 Trey Hendrickson jerseys. No disrespect. I'm a Trey Hendrickson fan, but like when guys start saying, "Oh, this isn't repairable unless you pay me," all right, bro, then it's not repairable, bro. You don't want to be here. Like, that's what it is. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just weird. And I also get his side of things too. Like, you're 30-something years old. You want to get one of those last bags, but like, sorry, bro. It ain't gonna be here, bro. If I can get 2 first-round picks for you, I'm gonna get 2 first-round picks for you, and then I'm gonna replace you immediately, and it's going to be awesome because he's gonna be 21 and fast and on a rookie deal. Like, you're not helping yourself sitting out. Like, it's just, I don't know. I also have the number 12 overall pick, so I'm kind of in that mood today. But you know,
yeah. I think Dallas might be 11. Actually, I thought we had the 12th pick. Are you sure you're at 12?
No, the Bulls are at 12. The Bears.
Oh, the Bulls. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes.
Well, the Bears. Jay, the draft already happened, buddy. I don't know what picks we have next year, but
No, that's what I was saying. I'm sorry. I guess when you said 12,
I think-
I was in mind of the NFL, and so you said 12.
I think we had 10. So yeah, we had 10.
All right, let's move this
I'm old,
on.
Mike. You
so
gotta
I
let me
can
know
fix
when you're
my
switching
lineup
sport.
in fantasy baseball.
Shut up, Frankie. I'm talking to Jay right now.
I got postponings going on right now, and I got news dropping. And Kyle Schwarber's not playing. Gunnar Henderson's not playing. I need to change my lineups. I'm trying to cheat, Jay. I'm in first place. I want to stay there.
You.
He gets so serious about his fantasy sports. That's like
I would. Don't let him. I wasn't invited to play. I don't want to.
That's not my fault. I didn't. That's not my
It's crazy. I wasn't invited. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Mike
gets mad.
Okay. So, Mike, are you saying that you would like to play in our fantasy league next year, whether it be football or baseball? Would you like to?
Mike's a little upset because we showed our teams real quick, and he's like, "Wait." He's like, "Dang, y'all got 2 utility guys? Like, I want that. That's just."
Jay, I appreciate the offer, but I actually wasn't offered. I only like to go where I'm wanted, brother. I feel like Trey Hendrickson right now. I don't really want to be here.
It's interesting though, and I'm not going to put all the laundry out there, but I'm pretty sure I have said numerous times that I would like for you to come join the network with me, Tony Frankie, and I get crickets. I don't know. I get crickets.
I just be hanging out, man. I'm not on a network. I'm just a chill guy.
I know.
Yeah,
You know what's sad? You know what's sad though? No, you know what's sad is that you actually podcast, and I love Tony. Tony, I love you.
Oh, I love Tony.
But you actually podcast a guy who has a much more inferior beard than mine. And I'm sorry, Tony, if you're out there, I love you, but your beard is less inferior than mine.
Tony Hollinsworth has an incredible beard.
Yeah, well, I sent him some plugs. He put them in. Apparently, they worked.
What the? Girl, get out the garbage.
Okay.
Girl, get out the garbage. Frankie, what the fuck's going on over there?
My daughters are playing, and I'm not caring no more.
I'm leaving. I'm not gonna be here when CPS comes.
Oh, damn.
I'll see you at next year's draft.
Hey, no, he bailed out. I was gonna tell him congratulations on his interview, but I don't even know. Did you find out who Mike interviewed today? He interviewed somebody I saw on Facebook.
Yeah, he interviewed a former Chicago Cub player who actually won the World Series with the Cubs in 2016.
Nice.
Yeah, I forgot his name. I'll look it back up and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. We're about an hour and 22 into it. Sounds like Frankie's got a whole lot going on at the house. Frankie, I pretty much talked about all the sports I wanted to cover today, man. Unless you got something else, we probably hit this thing up tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll hit it back up tomorrow with Golden State. We'll also, talk about the games for tonight. Again, OKC at home against Denver, 2-2 series tied. And then also we have Pacers at Cleveland, where they have a 3-1 lead and can actually end it here tonight. So we'll let you guys know tomorrow if the Indiana Pacers are the first team in the second round to move on to the conference finals of the East. We'll also get you guys warmed up and ready for Game 5. Yes, Game 5 between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics with no Jason Tatum. And also a Game 5 between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. If Minnesota, right? They play tomorrow? Yes, they play tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, so we'll talk about that as well. But yeah, before we do go out, I do want to give my condolences out to Oswaldo Cabrera, New York Yankee player, third baseman, outfielder, second baseman, first baseman. He could play it all, baby. Oswaldo could play it all. And I've been watching him since the minor leagues. I watched him when he got called up. I seen the emotions that he got when he got called up. I seen his very first home run. I seen his first grand slam. I seen his first base. I seen everything first on this guy, and I was a huge fan. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk like he's dead. I am a huge fan. I am a huge fan of Oswaldo Cabrera. And if you watched that game last night between the Yankees and the Seattle Mariners, it did not look pretty. Ankle one way, body the other. It's completely teared off, and I feel really bad. But what's also great is he had a sense of humor. I love Aaron Judge because he was by his side the entire time through the injury. It was his pop-up, his sacrifice fly that got Oswaldo Cabrera to score from third base. He ignored the out call, but ended up tearing his ankle off, and he did get the score. And then he, in such pain, ambulance coming out, getting his back rubbed by medical staffs like he was a baby. It looked really sad. And if you're like me, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. My baseball is like my number one sport. I've watched baseball since I was a little kid, and it truly hurts when you see a player like that, especially someone who you've been following since the minor leagues, go down like that. It truly sucks. But for him to have a sense of humor and just look at Judge and say, "Did I score, Judgy?" Like, that just goes to show who Oswaldo Cabrera is. Like, he doesn't care if he got hurt. Yes, it hurts, but when you look at the captain and you're saying all you care about is did I score, that just shows you what he truly is. He's a competitor. He's a fighter. He's his heart for the New York Yankees organization is huge. And now that's empty, and somebody's gonna have to fill it up. DJ LeMahieu does come back out from IL tomorrow, so we got DJ LeMahieu coming back. And I believe that as of tonight, with him gone, Oswald Peraza will take over third. So I wish you well in a speedy recovery, Oswaldo Cabrera. Take your time. We'll carry you, bro, the way you carried us, and we hope to give you a ring this year. See you next year, brother. I'm so sorry. But other than that, I'm your boy Frankie the Yankee with Jay McLovin. It's time for us to get out of here, watch some sports, and change my fantasy league so I can keep on the momentum of winning. We'll catch you guys tomorrow here at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Same crew, Jay and myself, and have a good night.